and welcome back to Still in Beta. My name is Roman. With me are William and Sean. Hello.
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 Well, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you to all who have listened to us and commented. Much appreciated and also a bit unexpected. Today we actually want to talk about things that are in beta. So, yeah. William, you wanted to talk about, what was your product again? Something about passengers?
Something about passengers. Yeah, it's a product from TFDI Designs. Perhaps not necessarily one of their most well-known products.
Is it in
They
beta?
tend to be. It is, of course, still in beta. Like most things nowadays, it's in early beta. It's even more than beta.
Oh.
TFDI are well known for their 717 product, but probably less well known for their PAX product, which they released in an early beta. I believe it was sometime early last year in 2019. I guess the way to describe it is a sort of take on FS Passengers for those that use that in the early P3Ds and the FS9s and
I
FSXs.
do remember that, yeah.
Of course, I used to love FS Passengers.
You like your sandwiches,
Unfortunately,
don't you?
I love serving those sandwiches and drinks. Got to get them in. You got to make your money somehow. Unfortunately, they appear to have stopped developing for whatever reason for version 4. So PAX is the product that TFDI Designs came up with, and it's, I suppose, trying to be like FS Passengers.
Yeah, but it looks
I
a
would
lot
say
cleaner from the
It
screenshots.
does, yeah.
Oh,
I
from the
mean,
screenshots.
interface-wise, it's quite good. Sean also has this product. He had it first, actually. I discovered it from him.
Oh, I see.
So Sean's going to talk about another program that's similar when I finish rambling about this. Kind of look at a quick comparison between the two. I think perhaps in the future it'll be worth maybe doing a proper or in-depth comparison, but for the purposes of today, we'll just sort of do a quick look over them. So basically, you can set up your aircraft, create your flight, and it does your flight attendants do the announcements, and they will serve food and drink and kind of check on your passengers to see they're hungry, they're thirsty, they're on business, all things like that. And then you can kind of manage the seatbelt signs, which you can get on and off. And there's like a user interface where you can sort of make announcements. You can tell if there's passenger problems or there's a problem with the airplane. You can kind of say, we need to divert, we need to return to the gate, we have a problem with the plane, or we have a problem with the passenger, things like that.
So basically brings everything real pilots actually hate, I guess.
yeah, passengers. So, it's a great concept. I would say it probably still has a long way to go. It's very much still in beta. I think the functionality of it is a little hit and miss sometimes. The voice interaction, which is actually probably one of the more interesting features of it, you can essentially make an announcement as if you were the pilot, tell your passengers, oh, we're taking off, we're landing, there's a problem, whatever. You can actually record an announcement. But the function of that is a little bit hit and miss. And if you read their forums and their frequently asked questions, it's one of those things that comes up quite often. And I actually had a problem with it. And I have to say, it's one of those features I was really looking forward to the most because I like the immersion.
I'm just looking at a product on their website, and if I want to buy it, it doesn't necessarily tell you that it's early access in a big red banner. But when you check out, it has a checkbox that you have to confirm that this is early access and it's not complete. So you basically hand over all rights to complain about anything and just say, yeah, early access, I want it, and yeah.
But don't forget, you do get a badge to say that, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you get the I bought this early. Actually, if you on their main page, it does say in the upcoming features that it is a early access state, which is fine. The price tag, though,
that's where I
US dollars?
kind of have my problem. It's $30. Yeah, I think that's quite steep for what it is. And if that's the beta price, I would be somewhat disappointed to pay any more. I'm fairly disappointed I paid as much as I have now. I had to contact their support team back and forth 5 or 6 times to get the voice activation working. And
How did support work for you? I mean, are they on the money for it?
They weren't necessarily on it really quick. I mean, sometimes you'd get a response within an hour, sometimes you'd get a response within 24 hours.
But that's not too bad.
Not too bad.
That's better than no response.
Well, it's better than no response, of course. Yeah, but it was just a bit frustrating because you want to set the program up, you want to get going, and I kind of got a bit fed up with it before I'd even kind of started, really. And in the end, the actual problem seemed to just sort of fix itself. I never really got an official fix from them. It just one day I happened to switch it on again after I'd given up hope, and I thought, well, I'll just try it, and I pressed the button to do it, and it miraculously worked. But I have no idea why. And I read the manual several times where that particular point is described, and the manual almost didn't make any sense either. So, for that price, questionable.
Well, I think for what it could possibly be in the future, I think $30 would be reasonable because it wants to simulate, and it's in the latest update, it does simulate, give you a little bit of control over any sort of in-flight events, such as medical events. I gotta assume there's a couple others, maybe unruly passengers or something like that.
Oh, those are my favorite.
You
Yeah.
bring up a good point there because I have actually set my system to common. The options are non-realistic, common, and I thought, well, I want to see what this does, so I've put it on common. Common to me means that problems will happen frequently, almost every time, and yet I've flown maybe 7 or 8 flights since setting it to common, and I haven't really had anything. I did seem to spot something the other day that came up as I think it was an unruly passenger or something like that, but it never notified me that there was an unruly passenger. I mean, there was no box that popped up to say this is happening. Like on FS Passengers, you used to get, if there was an emergency, it would say, oh, there's a problem. Something would flash up to at least alert you to it. So perhaps that's something that they need to work on. I don't know, but I think $30 is quite a lot for a beta price. I think if they continue developing it and it gets better and better, hopefully that will happen. Maybe $30 might be worth it, but I certainly would hope that they're not going to charge any more. And I know that there are quite a few people who commented quite negatively based on the product and the price. And I guess this is probably a really good point to kind of pass over to Sean, who's got the other program, which I stumbled upon whilst flicking through Facebook. And I mentioned it to him, and he went and bought it. So Sean has an idea of how that works. So
the product you talked about was PAX from TFDI Design, currently beta, works with P3D, FSX, and X-Plane 10 to 11.
Yeah, it is compatible with all. So that's a positive thing.
Okay, so your outlook is generally more positive, more like we'll see, negative. What do you think about it?
I mean, I'm sort of neutral at the minute. I'm kind of hoping that more comes from it for the price I've paid. TFDI designs tend to be quite good. If their 717 product is very good, but I just hope that this new MD11 project that they're now working on isn't necessarily going to overtake work being done to the PAX program, considering so many of us have already paid. It is still in beta, and I think it's got a long way to go.
Well, one of the other tools they build is smart cars, so if anybody ever used that, then you get some idea of how they do with like desktop applications and stuff, rather than just planes.
Yeah, I've used smart cars and I have no complaints against it. I think it's actually pretty decent.
It's decent, yeah. I think it just works well as a general purpose thing, but yeah, I have never been a big fan of it.
It is designed for general purpose, especially particular to like the PHP VMS worlds and some other applications. I know there's some other VAs out there that don't necessarily use PHP and it works with them. Little known thing though, for all the pilots who use smart cars with different virtual airlines, to you it's free. To the VA, it's actually quite pricey to own the license to own that for your virtual airline. So.
Oh well, maybe I should sell my own A-cars then.
There is apparently money to be made in it.
Well, I just bring it up because PMDG makes great planes, but their operations center is questionable. For example, they're good with planes, they're not so good with desktop applications.
Your fuss the other week over it.
Oh my god,
for hours.
Yes, I can go on forever on that one.
We've digressed though. So this other program is called Self-Loading Cargo. I stumbled upon it and mentioned it to Sean.
And he bought it.
Sean then went and bought it, so he can tell you all about it.
Well, everybody who mentioned anything to me in the last 2 weeks has bankrupt me.
Yes, you do seem to be spending a lot.
Well, between the X-Plane flash sales and everything, it's like, oh, it's $10, $15. Let me try it out. And now I've got me a little problem.
Slowly working your way towards insolvency.
Yeah, I'm on a diet now. If anybody sends me any sort of deals or specials, just don't
Don't.
do it. That's not a good idea. I own airplanes that I should have never have bought. Yeah, so self-loading cargo, which interestingly is kind of a bad name because it doesn't really imply what it is. I think to preface PAX for this program, I think it addresses an issue that happens to be in all the flight sims, which is no sort of passenger interaction, no sort of cargo interaction, really, other than the sense that you can load your airplane up with weight. There's no interface to actually deal with passengers and all that. If you're doing the commercial thing, even if you're just doing a cargo thing, there's really not much out there. You figure with the different types of plugins we have, you're stuck with, a ground handling program to give you some animation, maybe another sounds plugin you have for the airplane to give it some more realism to it. And now we have, what FS Passengers had always done. Now we're starting to see a resurgence in that to address the void in the market. And that problem with the void is we don't have very many companies making it, so the prices are a little high and there's no competition. There's no real rush to get it done once you've bought it. Again, back to the problem of things being in beta that we buy and it takes them forever to release the final version that works. Now, yes, PAX been in development for, well, I think it's been available for a year. I
Yeah.
don't know how long it was in development before that. Self-loading cargo, and if Roman wants to put links in the description of this channel,
Will do.
yeah, you can check it out, is the same thing in the sense that you can load passengers and you can simulate a real flight. It is, what did I say? Because it is an early access, which they completely make clear on their website. It is an early access. Yeah, big blue box that says buy
Yeah.
now for 12.99 European rubles.
UK pounds.
Whatever. Puts it to 1580 US dollars.
I'd also say how much it will cost when it's released in its final version, which I find fair.
Yeah, normal price will be 17.99 in the European
In the
currency.
Queen's money.
The
Yeah,
Queen's money, of course.
which is still cheaper when they're going to be done with it than what
Yep.
PAX is.
I quite a bit, really. It's not just a little bit. It's about £7 or £8
it's a
less,
it's a fair
which is
price.
not.
Now, what I like about this program, as opposed to PAX, is you have more of a immersion to it. The pilots, when you press like the welcoming speech or leveling off or departures and all that stuff, it actually plays a pre-recorded message that the developer, I believe himself, has recorded, and it's got really good PA overlays and everything to make it feel or make it sound right. And interestingly, he even has gone as far in this early access version to mimic the time of day, like good morning, good evening, based on your flight sim time. And then if you're delayed, or say you tell your passengers you're going to be delayed when you land, he apologizes for the delay in the exit speech.
That is nice.
Yeah, a little bit of forethought was put into the immersion of everything.
That's really good. I didn't know that.
You mentioned a very good point here. That forethought, the thought putting into these details, that's something I miss in many products in general. It doesn't matter if it's a PAX program or anything else. Sometimes I feel like, have they ever thought 10 seconds about what's going to happen in a particular scenario? And these little details matter. And I think if you bring up a very good point here, they just look at the time, which is not difficult to do, really. You just say, if it's, after 12 o'clock, just say good afternoon rather than good morning or something like that. Yeah, you have to put the effort into it, so kudos for that.
Yeah, and then even a little bit of further automation is involved. So this program's pretty customizable considering its state right now. You can set everything to automate, or you can set everything to do yourself. So the cabin crew will do drinks, food, and hot drinks, and it will do that automatically based on the length of the flight. It knows when to factor in what to do and when to do it, or you can automatically do it yourself. One of the things I discovered this morning is the alcoholic drinks weren't available on my flight because it was too early. Which on my flight, I don't think there's such a thing as being too early to drink. Uh, but apparently, whoever made this is a better person than I am.
So just a question there: can you set up the drinks and snacks and things, or is it all automatic? Or can
No,
you?
no, no. You can set up to service automation can be
See,
on
I
or
like
off.
that. Now, you see, I like that because that was something that you could do on FS Passengers. You could either have it automatic, where they would serve the food and the drinks for you, or you could do it and you could say when you wanted your sandwiches, your meal, whatever. Whereas in PAX at the moment, it doesn't have that feature. It is only automatic. You can say at the beginning of the flight whether you want the crew to be able to serve drinks/snacks or meals, but you can't actually physically say, right, now serve a drink, now serve a meal.
No, and the thing about PAX is it's almost set up in a future set to do like an economy-based model, so you can set up different. I do like about PAX is you can set up different companies and go in and say my airline is a full service, low cost, good service, bad service, that kind of thing. And I think in the future it might hopefully would integrate some sort of economy into it. You made this much money based on
That,
the service and all that, kind of like FS Passengers, I believe did. I think they had an
Yeah,
economy
they
built
did.
around there. Yeah,
although you'll be
so
hoping it doesn't have the FS Passengers bursting tires.
yeah, yeah, 500 feet. That was all you got. Now, self-loading cargo has that feature built into like, so you can do in packs. You can have like some in-flight events, which I did have. Contrary to what William was saying, I did experience as soon as I turned, for it to be common to have an issue in flight, it happened a heart attack or something like that on the flight. Now, self-loading cargo, that availability is in the future for medical events, and I believe technical issues or something like that for your airplane. Now, one of the things I experienced in PAX is I had to do a go around, and then back to the forethought is as soon as I initiated the go around, the program automatically understood that this landing wasn't going to happen. I put the gear up, and it automatically got on the PA system for me and told the passengers that we're going to be executing a go around. This is completely normal. There's nothing to worry about. And I just thought that was really cool. I wasn't expecting that.
Was that self-loading cargo?
Self-loading cargo. Sorry, yeah, not PAX. If I said PAX, so self-loading cargo automatically did that for me. Now, the thing about self-loading cargo is it has a roadmap. It has pretty regular updates. I've owned it for a week and it's updated twice now. It seems you have to uninstall the old version and install the new version. I'm not a huge fan of that. However,
No,
it
it's not.
saves all of your information.
Oh, that's a lifesaver.
Yeah, you don't have to reset anything back up again. They have the ability to have Wi-Fi on the airplane or movies and different things, change different outcomes for your passengers. Wi-Fi on the ground obviously isn't as good as it is up in the air when it's actually usable. And if too many passengers are on it, they'll start complaining that it's too slow. You can tell turbulence, bad weather, delays, boarding music, control the seatbelts. I mean, it's fantastic little program so far, and their roadmap does explain what's coming. They have a Discord, which I'm in. The people are very nice. They're very receptive to questions and or suggestions. And for sound and everything, for being in beta, they already support you making your own custom sound packs, as opposed to just having the developer's voice, which isn't bad. It's all set up really good. But they've already got American. Air France and all that other people have recorded. And if you submit all that, he will put it on the website for others to download and support it completely.
That's great.
uh,
So good.
for 17.99 or 12.99 rather, 15.80 US. I can't argue with the program so far. I'm liking it. I haven't found really too many issues either. It works pretty flawlessly, and the few issues it does have with knowing what part of the airport you're in, if you're on a taxiway or runway, are being addressed. And there's a current workaround that if it doesn't understand what's going on, it just automatically goes to the next stage. So if it doesn't know that you're on the runway during takeoff roll, as soon as you get up in the air, it figures out what's going on and then catches up, and there's no crashing or loss of flight or anything like that.
Good.
So that's my take on it. Selfloadingcargo.com, still in beta.
I see. If I'd have known about self-loading cargo before PAX, I have to say I probably would have gone with self-loading cargo myself.
Yeah, they've
Purely
been
based
around a
on
little bit
price.
longer. Yeah, or just as long, and they've been doing a very bad job of making themselves known. But that's fine.
Interestingly enough, I spotted it in on a VATSIM Facebook page, somebody was flying and they posted a picture of their flight, and I saw this in the corner, and I thought, what's that? And I sort of looked into it, and I actually followed the comments on the post, hoping that somebody might say, "Oh, what's that?" Anyway, they did, and he posted a link to it, and that's how I came across it. And
Interesting.
annoyingly, I would have probably bought this rather than PAX
Yeah,
had I had it.
if I had to recommend one,
As usual, none of this is sponsored. We're just looking at products we have. We bought it with our own money. So, yeah, opinions are our own.
too much money. Yeah, if you're a pilot who really wants that I know some pilots don't care about that kind of thing, and that's fine. But if you do want that extra added simulation, a little bit added stress too, to actually fly the airplane appropriately and not.
I don't care about anything that happens in the cabin. That's just, but
We know.
the way you explained it, I'm tempted to give it a try. At least I want to see it when you use it. I will watch one of your streams and see if this is for me. Maybe.
Yeah, his passengers are always annoyed, but
It's 100% up until about landing, and then things go south really quick.
I see. One more question. Is this mostly just for airliners, or could you also have an executive or GA airline, something like that?
That's actually a very good question. So they're doing a job of trying to incorporate aircraft from developers so that it understands what airplane you're using. Current state is, for the most part, it says, okay, pick which aircraft you're using. So let's just say a 737-800, and then you can put how many passengers that you are taking. What it doesn't know is necessarily any sort of seat configuration or anything, or how many seats are actually in the airplane. It does have SimBrief integration, and this is self-loading cargo. It does have SimBrief integration, so it will pull over your flight plan information, so to put the cruising altitude and the departure and arrival. But it doesn't necessarily know any particular, I guess, general aviation, or in your case, like a Learjet or something like that. I'd have to look at the list of supported airplanes.
PAX is the same. It's similar sort of thing. It has a list of airplanes to choose from, and then you can say how many passengers you want. So I guess you could fly like a Legacy and put down an Embraer 135 and then just set
Yeah.
2 or 3 passengers.
Okay, I see.
So you
But
can
it
set the
wouldn't
amount
be
of passengers you
specifically
have.
executive. But I guess you would still want some kind of drink service. But then I suppose you'd also have the announcements going on. So I'm sure there's probably a function in there to turn the announcements off. But
The
I
way
can't quite remember, and I don't have it open right now. But I know you can customize the announcements a little bit.
well, in self-loading cargo, you just don't announce. In PAX, yeah, I can't remember necessarily. So to answer your question, not as such. I do believe both of them. I know PAX had made a mention of adding general aviation support in the future. I haven't seen anything about that just yet, and self-loading cargo hasn't really said anything about it either. They seem to be really pushing on the commercial side of it. However, they are supporting, well, not necessarily supporting. You can go in and modify your own aircraft config inside of the program itself and tell it how many passengers you have and all that information. So I think there's future development. It seems to me like self-loading cargo might be able to support modding a little bit better and other people creating things. So if one creates that, you can just add it in as an aircraft set and then pick that one on your flight, and it'll work fine. But I think that's future state.
It doesn't look at the moment like PAX has kind of got the sort of development in there for others outside of the development program. It seems to be very much them.
Yeah. If I had to wrap the whole thing up, I'd say this. PAX has a forum that doesn't really explain too much of what's coming and when. Self-loading cargo has a roadmap to tell you where they are and what's coming in the next releases, and they have them put down by releases, so you know what's coming. If you don't already have it in there, you can expect which version, when that version will come out. It doesn't say, but what version you can expect that particular feature to be added. And it's worth reading through before you buy it, because you might see, okay, this is going in a direction I want it to go, or I don't see them doing what I want it to do. But PAX, we don't know the status of. We don't know when it's going to be a full release. We don't know when the next update is. PAX will auto update when you open it. I do like that.
There was actually an update, I think, maybe 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, I believe it was
That
some
was
minor
the first
settings
update.
changes.
Yeah, it was. I don't think there was much involved in it, but the other good tip is there is videos actually on the Soft-Loading Cargo website which you can watch. Kind of shows a few things, and also there's a couple of reviews on YouTube as well of PAX. So I guess you could probably take a quick look at those videos as well if you're kind of undecided between the two.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say there's enough information out there on both to get a good gauge on which one's better for you. But they're both still in beta. I think one's just pulling ahead from the other right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a self-loading cargo at the moment, but I'm very tempted, and when I get paid, I probably will look to buy it.
There you go. That's the passenger side of all of it that we all, well, some of us, unlike Roman here, do enjoy having.
But so yeah, that's the passenger side of things. So we'll pass over to Roman, who can have a little discussion about his topic, which I believe is the A350.
Yes, it is. And as you know, I do not care about cabins, but this plane does come with a cabin. I'm talking about the FlightFactor A350 Ultimate, I think it's called, for X-Plane 10 and 11. I mentioned the 10 because this plane has been released for X-Plane 10, if not even X-Plane 9. Not quite
That's how long
sure.
it's been in beta.
Yes. And the reason I bring it up is it's not really in beta. It's sold as a finished product. It has been on sale for the price it is now since it has been released. And I don't think it's a bad plane. The reason I bring it up as a beta product is because the developer promised, like, oh yeah, there are some missing features, we're working on that, and there will be an updated version with more stuff on it. And I believed them. Back then I was more naive and I basically bought whatever came out. And yeah, since then I have this plane which has only changed in such a way that it flies in the latest versions, which is good. I like that. So, completely abandoned was a product you can only use with X-Plane 10, so you got the upgrade for 11 for free and stuff. But you never got the features like SIDS and stars, which is one of the community's greatest problems. I mean, Sean, you know a lot about that.
I refuse to buy an aircraft that is supposedly the most technologically advanced aircraft, well, airliner out there that can't do a SIDed star by default. I have to do some workaround. I'm sorry. That was the biggest thing. I don't. You could have said that was the greatest flying, best looking, best modeled aircraft with the best cabin available in the X-Plane store, and I'd still tell you I'm not buying it because for just the fact of principle.
Well, I'm sure I could sell it to you on the cabin. I could definitely sell it to you on the cabin.
I didn't even look at the cabin. I saw no SIDs and stars. Said, the cabin means nothing to me now. Yeah, I just think that's crazy that airplane does
Now you make a very good point,
that.
Roman, because I know the SIDS and stars thing is definitely one of those things that's a bit of a bugbear in the X-Plane 11 community that have that aircraft.
Interestingly, it's one of the points I moan about only because other people moan about it and not because it's missing. I just say, all you have to do is go to your FMC, which is completely modeled, it's custom, it's all there. You don't have to SID. Okay, we could make your own SID files, but who does that? But all you have to do is look at the charts. A SID or a star is usually like maximum 5, maybe a few more waypoints if it's a really big one. You just punch them in with your keyboard. You don't even need to use your mouse. It takes you maybe a few minutes on a flight that lasts 12 hours or something. I mean, it is a long-haul aircraft. So is that so much to ask for?
Yes, and here's the reason why. If you're gonna make an airplane and charge, it's like $50. It's like $49.95, which is funny because there's airplanes that are older and less good looking and can have the less functionality, I suppose, that it costs more. So for the price, I'd say it's right on the money. But you can't. I won't support it. You're not getting my money if you haven't finished it. And I get it is a small thing that can be worked around pretty quickly, like you just said. Enter the damn waypoints in, and you're on your way. But there's a matter of principle, and if we all just say, well, that's okay, and we keep giving money to people who make something that isn't done, they're just going to keep doing it. I swear, that's like, oh well. That's the reason why the 777 has been the price that it has been for as long as it's been, because people keep buying it, and then they realize, okay,
Very good point.
oh well, they keep buying it, so what's the incentive? Like, I could see if there was a loss of sales for a long time, it wasn't making any money, there might be a reason to look into it. Now I do know Flight Factor came out and said that they were working with Tolees to get this issue fixed. But if you look at the aircraft that have come out since the A350 was ever made, how did it get missed? I mean, look at the Flight Factor A320. That thing is completely, like, that's their flagship airplane in my opinion. That thing is awesome, and They couldn't take 5 minutes to go back and fix the other one. Now they're calling Thalys up and saying, "Hey, can you help us out?" I don't know the reason for that, but I'm just saying you're not getting my money if you're not gonna make a working airplane. And that's the thing about that airplane. That's what it does. It has the computers to do everything. It should have
You're right.
been able to do it.
It's a very modern aeroplane. It's all computerized, so like Roman says, it's not a massive thing to be able to type in a few waypoints, but you shouldn't have to, because that's the purpose of an A350. It's essentially designed to not have pilots in it. The pilots are really just there to make sure it keeps going.
I suppose now that they've at least are addressing it. They know about it. They're going to fix it. When that fix is going to come, who the hell knows? But they do it. They at least they do know and are planning to do something about it, I suppose. And when that is done, maybe we'll take a peek at the cabin, and if it meets my expectations, maybe I'll buy it.
Okay, you made very good points there, and that's mainly the reason I say it's still in beta. It is a good aircraft. I like the aircraft.
It does look nice. I have to say
it
that
feels
the visual
unfinished.
model looks nice.
Yeah, it feels unfinished, and that's my problem with it. It has been promised, to be better and more features, and yes, we're gonna fix that sit and star. And as you mentioned, the A320 has everything. It's an Airbus. So is it really that hard to implement? I would argue not, because from a developer standpoint, I see like, okay, you just have a file with waypoints in it, parse it, and you're good to go. It's really not that difficult. Yes, it takes some time to figure it out and debug it, but they had the time. This plane is 5-6 years old now.
Does it have the ability to be able to import a Simbri route into?
Yes, you can make your own sort of route files, and you can just download a Simbri file and put it in the folder, and you.
So, because I know Simbrief you can put in your SIDs and stars, but it doesn't always necessarily detail the specific waypoints on that. So I guess you could type in the waypoints for each SID or star charts into Simbrief, which might be a bit quicker than typing it into an FMC.
But then again, you come from LAX to the Philippines, let's say Manila. The weather has changed. You need to go for a different runway. I mean, that just doesn't work. That works on a regional plane.
You're gonna have to go in.
Yeah, yeah I know. You just always go against the flow anyway. You don't care where you land. You could have 60 knots tailwinds. You will land.
We're going in.
Oh, dear. Yeah, your brakes are always on fire. The reason I picked this plane is because it is supposed to be updated very soon, and I'm not quite sure how this is going to work out, because apparently we're going to see an update for the current version, the Airbus A350 XWB. That's not FlightFactor's fault. That's how Airbus calls the plane for whatever reason. Advanced. And apparently we're supposed to get this ultimate version. That's what they called it back then when they made the promises for like, oh yeah, there's going to be a better version. And I think this will be a free upgrade to all the customers who own the plane right now. So don't depend on that. That's just my guess. I haven't found anything about that. But what confuses me is a little bit is that apparently there's a second A350 4X plane under development, and that's supposed to be a brand new product. Why and who?
From them?
Apparently they sold it.
Yeah.
So
somehow.
All of this is not really founded on solid research. This is just stuff I heard. It's rumors.
Galley FM.
Yeah. And I just don't get it. Why don't you just say, okay, this is the update for the product. Existing customers get it for free, and we just raise the price for new customers or something like that. I don't know. It just feels like one of their 767, 757 panel upgrades where you get a new panel for another $20, and they have a really complicated diagram of how all the different fees and upgrades work. I think, like, guys, if you need a diagram to explain fees, then it's too complicated, really.
Yeah, you need to rethink.
And I did not buy any of these panels because I think, A, I don't need them, and B, $20 for a few new panels? Really? No.
Yeah, that one I didn't understand. I didn't understand the whole idea behind that, and I think it was just to make it more of a modern. Put the modern panel into the 7.5 and 7.6. I think it's modern enough, but I guess it makes it more of a full glass cockpit. But for $20, I'll use a round dial.
Yeah, I'd rather have the 757 government edition as a $20 upgrade because I don't need that plane at all. I never asked for it. and have a free upgrade on these panels. I mean, a $5 upgrade would
Yeah.
probably be okay, but $20? I mean, the full package price comes down now to $112 if you want the whole thing from scratch. $112? It's a good plane for the 7.5, and I think the 7.6 is the same. Both of them are great planes, but have you lost your minds? I think so.
You see, I don't know how I feel about that. It's $112, and you get what, the 7.5, 200, 300, and the cargo. And yeah, then they threw in the military version. I just got it in an update one day, and I thought, okay, or the presidential version, or I think it's based on the old, was it the
Like Air Force 2, isn't it? I think it's supposed to
yeah,
be.
or I think the vice president uses this one or something. However that works, but I mean, $112 for 3 airplanes, technically 4 airplanes, I suppose,
It's
and
the
a
same
bit
plane.
more. It is
No,
the same plane, stretched, but then a freighter version for depending on which one. I mean, it is the same plane. You're right. It's not like you're getting like the X Crafts lineup where you're getting a bunch of different airplanes. But
I
uh,
know a company can beat that.
we will get to your company just a second, though. I just want to say that for $112, look at in comparison. The only thing we can compare it to is the market that it's sold in. Look at the Airbus 320 from them. I mean, that's a $90 airplane. You only get one airplane. You get no variations within that airplane. It's unless you mod it yourself.
Not recommended.
Yeah, well, I've done it. It works. Just the problem is every time it updates, you're back to square one. Which right now there's a lot of updates coming out with X-Plane doing its Vulcan thing. But for the price, it's $112 isn't so bad in comparison to the rest of the market. And the Flight Factor 7.5 and 7.6 are fantastic airplanes. I do just think their pricing model is getting a little complicated, like you said. And if you don't want to pay that, only complaint I have about it is I can't get the 757-200, but I can get the 300 unless I pay more money. And that's the part I don't like. I think that if you're going to sell it as a pack with a discount, great. Otherwise, sell them separately.
Well, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about in that first episode, where developers are just seem to be getting greedy with their pricing.
Yeah, but before we go to your segment about another 767, let me just finish the A350 real quick. I think this beta is coming to an end. I just call it a beta, even though it's a finalized product. For now, I would definitely not recommend buying it because it's an old plane, unless you really like the A350 as such. Not a bad plane. You can fly it, you can use it. It does work just fine. Just know you have a few limitations. The upgrade may come. It may be good, but we don't really know what's going to happen. And as I said, there may be another version that could be a lot better than just the upgrade. So my recommendation, just hold off for a bit and see what's what.
I do have one very important question to ask though about the
Oh, that
350
sounds
moment.
serious.
Does it have a button that changes it into a carrot?
No,
No.
I know that is very important to you.
That's nice. Roman showed me one of his planes today, and it turned into a carrot when he pressed this red button. It was quite funny.
Yeah, interestingly, I knew it had that feature, quote unquote, and I just never knew how to activate it. And today I showed you around the cabin and I found this red
Yeah.
button and it said, don't press it. What do? Naturally, you
Press
press
it.
the red button and there it is.
Oh, what
Well,
airplane's
thank
that?
you, Roman.
Well, I will not spoil it for our listeners, but I will tell you later.
Okay.
May feature in a future episode.
Yes,
Well, thank you, Roman, for telling us about the 350.
you're welcome. How about you telling us about a 767?
I just need to have a little rant to get it off my chest. Really,
Oh my
it
God, here
kind
we
of
go.
it kind of flows back into what we were just saying about developers again, exploiting the buyers and the customers, and what you were saying with the flight factor being $112, was it?
Yes,
Um,
the entire package. So you get
the
all
entire
engine
well,
variants, you get all, the length variations. The 767,
yeah.
though, they come with a 200. It's broken.
Well, again, I can beat that because this is not the product I'm going to talk about specifically, but just a quick calculation. If you buy the CaptainSim 757, the entire package, the base, the engine expansions, because of course they don't include the engines, then the freighter and the 757-300 version, that will set you back just under $200, $199 for the lot.
The 757, yeah, that.
That's the 7.5. Well, this brings me to the point that I'm now making, and I think this is particularly a subject that we're going to feature in another episode because I could probably rant about this for years. But CaptainSim have just released their 767. It was the long-awaited product. They had a 767 in a few years ago, which was for FSX, and they kind of abandoned it to presumably rebuild their 757 version 3 for P3D, which is what I just talked about. Now they've moved on to the P3D version 4 and supposedly version 5, 767. They've just released it in beta, of course, and they are charging a cool introductory offer of $99.
Okay, let me ask you this. There's another product that costs $99. I think it's very good. You know which one I'm talking about. Is it that good? I'm talking about the 737 NGXU from PMDG. I mean, PMDG is kind of the gold standard. They have their own small issues sometimes. But if you release an aircraft that costs $99.76, why does it cost $76? Anyway, let's just say it costs $100. And the other gold standard aircraft costs $100 too. Is it as good?
That's just the beta price.
Hmm.
The full price is going to be $135
Wow,
just for
that's
the base pack, which is
that's
going to
crazy.
be, I believe, it's the Pratt and Whitney.
Do they
Yeah.
have a history of making stuff that makes it worth that price?
No.
Wow.
Not in my opinion. They have now. Some people may disagree with me on this. They have lots of functionality on their model. They generally the external views generally look very good.
They're very beautiful. Yeah.
Every door and panel on the plane that you would never want to open.
Every slide opens. That's important for Sean.
Slides, yeah, that's very handy for you, Sean.
Yeah,
And
you
you've
need
got
those.
cabins. You've got cabins, so that's something I know you would
Which is
like.
better than PMDG. I'm telling
Yeah,
you, if
well,
FlightSim 2020 comes out, I'm gonna have to
fair
switch to
enough.
PMDG. They need to get their
Fair
shit
enough.
together.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
So they've got all these fancy features, and now I point out I don't own the 767, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm probably not going to unless they release it at some point on sale, like $20. I might buy it then.
They did that
But
actually. It
the
happened.
reviews out there are extremely mixed, with it very much hinting in the sort of negative. Lots of people are basically saying they've taken the 757 cockpit, just put it in there and typed 767 over it. And they are releasing that for $99 right now. It's got no winglets. I believe the winglets are coming, and I think that will be in the base pack.
But
I
there's an
wouldn't be too
additional
sure
charge.
about that. Yeah.
There is only the Pratt and Whitney engines, so if you want the Rolls-Royce engines, that'll be an additional price. Which, yeah, if we look at the CaptainSim 7.5, that's $30. Then if you want the freight version, that's probably going to be another $50. And then they're talking about maybe having a 767-200, maybe a 400 as well. So before kind of roughly basing this on the prices of things that they've done previously, you're probably looking at somewhere in the region of between 250 to 300 US dollars to get the entire CaptainSim 767 product when it's finished. And in my opinion, it's not worth probably $50. It is nowhere near as good as a PMDG. Nowhere near.
Well, I'm
Um,
confused. And I just want to ask a question. If you guys say it looks fantastic, all the buttons work, all the doors open, all the emergency slides, which is very important to operate, and visually outside, it's fantastic. What about it isn't so good? Is the FMC trash? Is it not fly properly? Is it like
Okay,
flying?
I've seen the plane. I don't own it. I've seen it. And when I saw it, I was very much tempted. Maybe I'll get it. Maybe I want it. And then I saw it at another pilot's place, and I thought like the quality of the textures and everything. It just looked a bit FS 2004, to be honest. Yeah, the exterior is all nice. It has all of these different versions and stuff, but really, it didn't catch me. Yes, it flies well. Yes, the FMC is there. But it just doesn't look as refined. It looks a bit old school. It feels like they just took the old, they took the old thing, made it a bit more modern, very shiny on the outside. So that's basically what they're selling. And I said, no, I already have a perfectly good 757 on X-Plane. I'm not going to buy another one. And that's that.
I just think it's extortionate to charge that much money for a product which is not as good as products that are out there, which are far superior on the market. You're looking at your FS Labs, they're of a top quality aeroplane. They charge a lot, but they're top quality. And I know we talk about PMDG a lot, but they are the gold standard. They provide great support, charge a lot, but the product is solid.
Also, the product gets upgraded forever.
And it gets upgraded. Now, I've owned CaptainSim planes in the past. I've fallen into the rabbit hole of buying things because it looks fancy.
It
I
does look
own
fancy.
I actually owned the 777-200 when I sort of dabbled in FSX sort of maybe 8, 9 years ago, and I also bought the L1011, and I also bought the 737-200. Now, I liked their 737-200. I thought that was very good, and actually, I don't think the price on that is too bad. I will say that the price on that for what it is not too bad. The L1011, when you bought it, get this, it was released in beta, and it didn't even have a cockpit when you bought it. It had no cockpit. It was hilarious. And yet they don't port these products over to P3D version 4. When they do finally port them over to version 4, they expect you to pay for it again. And they don't offer, well, as far as I can see, they've not offered an upgrade fee. Maybe there was a limited time offer, but at the time, I don't know. But people don't always upgrade straight away. Why am I going to upgrade on an introductory offer to something I don't own just on the chance that I might buy it in the future? It really winds me up that we are expected to constantly keep paying out money for essentially the same plane, but it's just had a bit of code change to make it work in version 4.
Now, they do sometimes put their stuff on sale, so if you really want it, I recommend just waiting for an actual sale and don't fall for their 75, 70 sale on. I mean, that's one thing that really puts me off with them. The 757 base package for P3D version 4 and 5 costs $75.70. They mark that as the special price, and that is lying. That's outright lying because they never charged $99.99. Maybe they charged it for a few days, and since then it's on sale. It's on sale every single day for the last 2 years, maybe. And I think that's deceiving because people will think, oh, I have to get it now before it costs $100 again. And then you get the base pack and you think, oh yeah, let's spend the $30 for, I don't know, the freighter extension or the Rolls-Royce extension. Just the engines alone cost $30. And I think that's
That's an
dishonest.
aeroplane. That is actually an aeroplane for
Exactly.
some senses. $30.
Sometimes they go down to an actual sale. I've seen it for like $25, the entire thing. Every package $25. I still didn't buy it because it comes up to easily $100 as well. I said no. But that might be something for you if you're into this plane. It is an option, but honestly, I think they're a bit deceiving. I think their upgrade policies are bad. I mean, this is all my personal opinion, so
Yes,
just saying
mine
that.
too. But it's widely shared around the community.
And the 767, I was like, okay, cool. I need a 767 for another airline I'm working on. Maybe I'm gonna buy it so I can paint it, but just for paint, $100, no.
So it's fun. I'm actually looking at it right now. 767 ER base pack is got 134.99 striked out and is on sale for 99.76. Now you're saying it's pretty much always. Yeah, we'll stay.
No, that's
Yeah.
just because the 7.6 is out in beta.
Oh, this is so
He
confusing.
was
I'm looking at their
referring to the
website.
7.5. He was referring to the 7.5 further down.
Well, it doesn't matter where you look because the 7.5 is the same deal, 99.99 striked out, like you were saying, and it's 75.70. But there's so many freaking add-ons, and I think they should probably win the award of needing a flowchart here of how to buy their shit. And the thing is yeah, it does look fantastic. I mean, the nose cones open up, the engines open up, all the things that I could sit there and play with all day long and be very happy with, which I know again Roman doesn't give a shit about. But but I know, but I can sit there and have fun with it and just enjoy it and just say, "Wow, this is."
You enjoy it for 2 minutes.
Well, then listen to what I'm saying, though. And I imagine there's got to be somebody in the comments. Please agree with me, just so I feel better about this. You
Well,
could sit there and
I agree with you actually to an extent. You know me,
what?
I'm all for the immersion.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you buy
God.
something for the price of $135 on sale for $99.99, and you can do that kind of stuff with it, and it flies good, and it looks good, and everything works great, which seems to be the opposite of what you guys are talking about. But
Fall short.
But when it does all those other little things, it really does make you feel like there was a lot of time put into this, a lot of effort, a lot of little details were looked at, and you feel a little bit better about paying that kind of money. doesn't matter if you enjoy opening up the nose cone of the airplane to look at the radar, but the fact that it does do it makes you think, wow, okay, somebody put some effort into this, and they really took some time and little TLC, and they put some pride into it. That's what
But
I'm
that's,
talking about.
but that's where they seem to only put their attention to detail is in the exterior model and all the doors and windows and all that crap.
But
It's the
I know, I know.
interior. It's the main point of an airplane generally is the flight deck. You want a fully functioning virtual cockpit. It's very user friendly, and it has a working FMC and all the bells and whistles. And that's where they sometimes fall down. And another thing I will just quickly say on this is I've also previously noticed all these functions and fanciness they have. I always tended to have quite a significant frame rate hit,
Oh, I'm
uh,
sure.
which is not good when you're on FSX anyway, because that always seemed to be
Oh yeah.
down in the dumps with the frame rates. But anyway, I feel like I've ranted a little bit enough about that now, but it's made me feel a lot better. Like I say, that they're just our opinions about CaptainSim. You're welcome to make your own decisions. Everyone wants
Please
different
do.
things, but that's just my thoughts. That based on the prices they're charging for what you're getting, I think you could better invest that money in much better products on the market. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say on it for now. So
So we're going to rename the podcast into something like self-help group for William.
that,
Makes him
that
feel better.
that could be it. Yeah.
Okay, so I think this will wrap up our episode for today. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, William.
Thank you.
What are we going to
Thanks for
talk
listening.
about next week?
Ah, yes. So we read the comments, we listened, and to be fair, we have been hitting commercial aviation pretty hard in the last. Well, this will be the third episode. Next week is general aviation and regional. Which we'll actually have to do a little research to see what's out there that is still in beta, what is great, what isn't so great for both sims. But we're going to talk about some more things that aren't just commercial aviation, as we know there is plenty more to flight simming than just flying around in flying billboards. So I think that's going to be next week's episode.
And of course, if you think of anything else that you want us to talk about or are interested in or whatever, just leave us a comment and we can take a look at it. And if one of us has it or whatever, we can certainly look into reviewing that. But otherwise, thank you for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe. See you next time.
See ya.
Goodbye.